I'm going to call this meeting of the Boston Region Metropolitan Planning Organization Administration and Finance Committee to order. I'm going to read the notice of non-discrimination, which is that you are invited to participate in our transportation planning process regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, veteran status, or background. And you can read the full notice of your rights and protections at www.bostonmpo.org/MPO_non_discrimination. And now we'll do the virtual meeting guidelines. Oh, sorry, this is the accessibility statement. Excuse me. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 level, AA standards, and revised Section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in this meeting, or if you have any technical difficulties, please contact Lauren McGee, MPO staff, at lmagee@ctps.org, or by phone at 857-702-3706, or you can use the Zoom chat box. These are the meeting guidelines. All participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. After the roll call, board members may mute and unmute themselves. Always remain muted unless actively speaking. To participate in the discussion, please select the raise hand function. You can find this by clicking either on the participants button at the bottom of the screen and a window will pop up with a raise hand button at the bottom, or in the reactions button in the toolbar. I will then call upon participants in the order in which I see you. And if you are on the phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. Okay, introductions. Good morning, folks. I'm Brian Kane. I have the great honor to chair this committee, and I represent the MBTA Advisory Board. And Lauren, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, of course. MBTA Advisory Board,
Brian Kane, present.
Metro West Regional Collaborative, City of Framingham.
Yes, Jay Betty, Metro West.
MAPC.
Good morning, Eric Barrasso with MAPC.
Regional Transportation Advisory Council.
Leonard Diggins here.
City of Boston.
Jen Rowe here.
And MassDOT.
Good morning. This is Glenn representing MassDOT.
Thank you, everyone. And that's the roll, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Lauren. Do we want to do staff introductions while we're here? Haral, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Brian. My name is Haral Gandhi. I am the Director of Finance and Operations at CTPS.
Annette Dempster, Director of Policy and Planning.
Thanks. Eric Barrasso, did we not call on you? Are you here? You're here.
You did call on me. Yes.
We did. How
Yeah.
could I forget you?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I'm losing my mind. Well, thanks for being here, Eric. Any other MPO staff that want to say hello?
I can. I'm Lauren McGee, and I'm an assistant planner for the MPO.
Lauren, I just called on you and I already forgot you. I don't know. I guess I need more coffee this morning, folks. So bear with me. Okay. And we will move on to public comment. So this is the MPO's Administration and Finance Committee, principally interested in the inner workings of CTPS, its budget, and how it spends its money. If there's any public comments, you can raise your hand. Harry, I have the great honor of knowing your mom and dad in Brookline, and you're more than welcome to give your comments, please.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Harry Madison. I'm a Boston resident, and I was calling in to comment on the memo that outlines quarter two updates and mentions that the MPO is carrying out a branding exercise and website update, spending or expecting to spend $200,000 on these two efforts. I want to commend you for trying to increase public outreach and participation. At the same time, $200,000 is a lot of money. And there are a lot of organizations doing plenty of great outreach and participation, spending way less money than that. And so there's certainly lots of advocates and staff at various organizations that would be happy to talk with the MPO about how you could achieve those goals and put that $200,000 to a more direct use to improve transportation in Massachusetts or in the Boston region. And hope that you'll reconsider how to achieve those goals while spending significantly less taxpayer money. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. I should have also mentioned, of course, your sister, who is stalwart in her own right. So thanks for being here. Great to have you. Any other public comments at this time? Okay, we'll close the public comment period. Thank you, Harry, and thanks everybody for listening. And we'll move on to agenda item 3, which is the approval of the May 30th, 2024 meeting minutes, which were provided earlier, and I've reviewed them. I didn't have any edits. So is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes? If there is, in a second, we'll do the discussion. Eric Barassa.
Eric Barassa, I'll make a motion to approve the May 30th meeting minutes.
Thanks, Eric. Jen.
I'll second that motion.
Thanks, Jen. Any discussion? Seeing none, Lauren, do you mind calling the roll, please?
Brian Kane,
Yes.
Dennis Giambetti,
Yes.
Eric Barassa,
Sorry there, yes.
Leonard Diggins,
Yes.
Jen Rowe,
Jen Rowe, yes.
and Chris Clem.
I will abstain. I was not present for the May 30th meeting.
That motion carries, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate it. And thank you all. We'll move on to agenda item 4, which is the state fiscal year 2025 operating budget update for Q1 with the amazing Haral Gandhi. Haral, please take it.
Thank you, Ryan. Before I get started on the status of the fiscal year budget, I just wanted to ask if we propose that we move agenda item for the executive director goal update to the next meeting. She was unable to make it this morning due to personal reasons. So I just wanted to make that change in the agenda before I get started.
Yeah, I was going to do that next agenda item, so no problem. I'll take the chair's prerogative and we'll skip item 5 and go to item 6 after this.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so hello, everyone. Today I'll be providing an update on our state fiscal year 2025 operating budget through the first quarter, which covers July, August, and September of 2024. As we're now well into Q2, this recap will highlight our key financial trends and performance from Q1 to ensure we have a clear picture of where we are and what to keep an eye on going forward. Let's start, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Start with a quick reminder of the approved operating budget for SFY 2025. The revenue was approved at $8.87 million with the following breakdown. 71% of the funds are from MPO funds, 7% each from MBTA and MassDOT, and 15% of the 15% of the funds are from the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that fund the Vision Zero project. Next slide, please. Expenses were also set at $8.87 million, with 17% allocated to direct pass-through funds, 45% for administrative expenses, and 38% for direct labor. The overhead in the approved budget is 120.3%. This approved budget provides the foundation against which we will measure actual performance throughout the fiscal year. Next slide, please. This table provides an overview of Q1 operating performance broken down by month. In July, we began the fiscal year with a $25,000 deficit and an overhead rate of 130.45%, which is typical for this time of the year because we have a lot of our IT contracts that are renewed and we have staff vacations and a lot of leave time benefits that are recognized in July. By August, we saw a shift with an $18,000 surplus and an overhead rate of 113.56%. In September, the trend continued with an additional 11,000 surplus and an overhead rate of 116.38%. Overall, the quarter closed with a $5,000 surplus and an overhead rate of 119.94%, which we consider to be close to a balanced budget and a solid start to the fiscal year. We aim to have revenue and expenses as close to each other as possible throughout the quarters. Next slide, please. Now let's review revenue performance for quarter one, measured against straight line projections. For context, straight line projections assume consistent revenue recognition across the fiscal year, giving us a benchmark for comparing actual performance. Revenue performance reached at 89% of straight line projections, with notable variances in the Safe Streets and Roads for All and MassDOT SPR funds, but they were as planned for the MPO and MassDOT other funds. The MPO and MassDOT directed 5303 funds were projected at $1.6 million, and the actuals came in at $1.5 million, which was 94% of the target. This means that we are actually spending out the MPO funds at a good trajectory as planned, and we hope to continue to do that. MassDOT SPR funds were projected at $104,000, and the actuals were $67,000, or 64% of the target. The MassDOT other funds, which are mainly to fund the Alston project, the Alston multimodal project, they were projected at $42,000. However, we were able to amend that contract, and the actual spending in the first quarter was $89,000, or 212 of the projection. And again, because of the straight line projections, we see some of these percentages higher in some quarters and lower in others. The MBTA funds were projected at $142,000, and the actuals totaled $126,000, or 89% of the projection. And then Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that funds the Vision Zero project were projected at $320,000, and the actuals were $171,000, reaching 53% of the target. Looking ahead, we expect to see more charging to the SS4A grant over the next few months, as we plan to add grant-funded staff to support some of this work for Vision Zero. And then these additional resources will support other grant-related initiatives, helping us charge out this funding stream. In total, quarter one revenue was projected at $2.2 million, and we charged about $1.97 million. Next slide, please. Turning to expenses, we ended the quarter at 88% of our straight line projections. Both administrative and labor costs were in line with our expectations, with the direct costs were below budget. The breakdown is the administrative expenses projected at $1 million. Actuals came in close to $950,000, with 94% of the projection. Direct labor was projected at $838,000. Actuals came in at $791,000, also 94% of the target. And then direct costs were projected at $373,000. Actuals were lower, reaching only 59%. And this variance is primarily due to the timing of procuring a consultant for the Vision Zero project. Now that we have a consultant on board, we anticipate that this line item will be charged at a higher rate over the next few months. Overall, the total projected expenses for quarter one were $2.2 million, while actual expenses were $1.96 million, and that achieved about 88% of the straight line target. So in summary, quarter one ended with a balanced budget, with revenue and expenses running close to each other. The quarter closed with a $5,000 surplus and an overhead rate of 119.94%, positioning us well for quarter two. These results set a strong foundation for the rest of the fiscal year. And we'll continue to track revenue and expenses against these projections and adjust as needed to maintain a balanced budget. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, thanks, Raul. I appreciate that. From my perspective, a $5,000 surplus is preferable to a $5,000 deficit, but as a percentage, either way, it's really minimal. So I think great job trying to manage the revenue and expenses to budget. I know it's always a challenge given balancing state fiscal years and federal fiscal years, and I think we're on a very good course here, and I appreciate you and all your staff's efforts. And I think that these ANF meetings are very helpful in allowing board members to check in at least quarterly, just to hear that we're on the right track, and I think that's important. So, are there any comments from committee members? Questions, comments? Chris Klein, please. Chris Clem, excuse me.
Hey, no worries. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that presentation, Raul. I have a newbie question, so I apologize if this sidetracks us a bit. But in one of the earlier slides, it was stated the overhead rate was essentially changing month to month from July to September, and I haven't had experience with that. So could you provide me some information on why that is?
So we have an approved budget, which is for the year. The annual overhead rate is 120.3%. That does not change from month to month. However, the actuals changed, and it's based on the revenue, direct salaries, and the administrative expenses. So the actual can come in lower or higher than the projected.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, the fact that it's a moving target is a little strange. I agree, Chris, and it took me a while to figure that all out. But it's a good question because it's unusual. But the staff really do monitor that in real time and make sure that it's working. Any other questions from members of the committee? Are there any questions from MPO members who happen to be here? Okay, seeing none. Haral, thank you very much for that check-in. Much obliged. So the next agenda item was going to be Tegan's, and it had to do with proposed Q2 spending to a large extent, which is what the public comment was about. So given that Tegan can't be here and asked us to push this to the next meeting, we will do that, and then we'll discuss that the next time. So this brings us to agenda item number 6, which is member items. Are there any member items from members who are here? I know it's late in the season, and there's things start to slow down very soon and pick up again in January, and I appreciate that. Haral or Lauren, when is our next committee meeting?
It's on the next slide.
Item number 7. Do you like that segue? Was that good?
So the
March 20th.
date is March 20th at 9 a.m. and I'm trying to schedule these well ahead of time so that there's no conflict with other subcommittee meetings. Typically, we've had to reschedule the ANF committee meetings because either there's a TIP meeting or one of the other subcommittee meetings on the same day. So we're hoping for March 20th at 9 a.m.
Well, that is certainly in the middle of the tip season, and hopefully if we can get that on everyone's calendar, we can make that happen. So I wish you all, unless there's anything else, I wish everyone a very happy holidays, a very happy new year, and I'm sure we'll see you all in advance of the 20th. Leonard, I see your hand.
I was going to motion to adjourn this very short meeting, the shortest meeting of the year.
Leonard, what a guy. Thanks, Leonard. Is there a sec? Actually, that doesn't require a second. So with that motion, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see
I
you
do
soon,
think-
maybe tomorrow. Thanks.
Sorry, I do think we
holidays.
actually
Thanks,
need a
everyone.
second.
Happy. Merry,
You
merry.
do need a second, yeah. Bye-bye.
I do need a sec. I do
Yeah.
need a, yeah, we need a
Jen-
second.
Jen's gonna
to
second.
adjourn.
I'll second that.
Jen
Thank
seconded
you so
it
much,
before
Jen.
we adjourned. Okay, without objection, we're adjourned. Thanks for keeping me honest. Bye.
Keep us out of
course.
jail. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.